Hi everyone, Hythany Wait Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new self-titled project from the Meridian brothers and El Grupo Renacimiento. Yes, this is the 11th full-length LP from Colombian music outfit Meridian Brothers. It is a crossover with El Grupo Renacimiento, which I mean in the loosest sense of the word, as the conditions of this collaboration are a little ill-defined, and purposefully so, because I guess they are a 70s salsa act whose lyrics have focused on things like police brutality, injustice, the plight of humanity, though the press release for this record says the group came out of myth and were created in spirit on this record by Meridian Brothers. So is what's going on here merely a reference? Is it a callback? Is it Meridian Brothers imagining their own group of collaborators and then making a record with them, like almost Gorillaz style, and just kind of embodying them themselves? Either way, there seems to be some theatrics at play here, not just conceptually, but musically and sonically too, because handily this is some of the strangest salsa music I think I've ever heard. The guitars and some of the instrumentation generally comes off a little detuned, or just embracing some very sour harmony work. So even when the band does hit a great groove on these tracks, which is often, there's usually something still a little off-putting about it. And I haven't even talked about the vocals yet, and they're something else. Because much of the singing on this thing has a deep and kind of froggy quality to it. This is what I imagine a salsa band would sound like if they were trying to do a very cheeky impersonation of one on an episode of The Muppets like 40 years ago. Not to insinuate Meridian Brothers are on purely a comedic pursuit here, they're not, because this record actually rocks. But there is a conscious element of absurdity to many of these tracks that adds a lot of flavor to the recipe, especially when you consider moments like the intro, La POLICIA, which is all about the cruelty and corruption of cops, which again is an interesting angle considering the track sounds like it's being sung by a band of Colombian Kermits. The vocal work on this thing isn't just cartoony though, it's quite skilled when it comes to the melody choices and harmonies. The vocal layers on Metamorphosis, for example, sound like they're slowly deflating from bar to bar. Not to mention this track is also one about waking up to find that you are a robot, with descriptions of the world being filled with cameras and drones and screens. It's kinda hard to tell where this transhumanistic fantasy ends and reality begins. Even stranger are the vocal harmonies on BOMBA ATOMICA, which is all about the horrors of nuclear weaponry. And as long as I'm talking about the singing here, I do have to mention these, I'm guessing improvised raspy shrieks that pop in every once in a while at random or when the band is really cooking. Even during more mournful moments on the record, like Triste Son, which is a track that seems to be all about the lingering sadness and loneliness of depression, even describing the protagonist as going out on a date with a girl who, I guess, throws up at the sight of him. So even during this record's darkest moments, it can be a bit cheeky, but still incredibly catchy, as most of the choruses on this thing bang. Triste Son, Triste Son, HERMANA NECESITO vicio. As far as the songwriting goes, the choruses, the structure, the melodies, the lyrical ideas, they're all there. The performances on this thing are super solid too, though I wouldn't have expected any less from Meridian Brothers at this point. The hand drums hit a great clip on ATOMICA Bomba, on Metamorphosis too. The cool dubby-echoed electric guitars on that track are a nice touch as well. The tense chord changes on HIPNOSIS are the perfect soundtrack for being mesmerized into a nightmarish trip. Feels like something out of a Telemundo Twilight Zone episode. Then the closing track takes a few liberties with a cover of La Mujer Sin Corazón, which is a surprisingly underwhelming moment on the LP. Vocally and instrumentally, in comparison with everything else here, it's played pretty straight, maybe out of respect for the original, but it still lacks the color and eccentricity that much of this record brings throughout the rest of it. But still, there is a funny ending to this track lyrically that plays into this record's general themes of a futuristic dystopia, making reference to having a Colombian pacemaker for a heart, and when wanting a heart, just getting an iPhone instead. I'll say with this LP overall, I loved the vast majority of the tracks on it. It does start a little stronger than it finishes, especially with Descarga Profetica not having as strong a chorus as many other tracks here, though the jam on this one is quite fiery. But regardless of a few cuts that may pale in comparison to others, this project still brings a lot of great songs, color, personality, fun. Meridian Brothers do it again and continue to prove why they are one of the most interesting groups on the Latin scene right now. I'm feeling a light to decent 8. on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Meridian Brothers, forever.